Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations in Horror, the podcast. I'm your host, Kevin L. Powers. I'm also the owner operator of Something Wicked Entertainment and Event, and I want to welcome you to my podcast in which I take an individual film and me and my guests sit down, discuss, critique, analyze, take apart the film based on the nitty-gritty ideals that we see the filmmaker has crafted. Now, that being said, it's going to be interesting because one of the themes of this month is that we are focusing on LGBTQ plus films because we are celebrating a diverse culture of films out there. So we want to bring a little spotlight on those type of films with those type of themes because horror is a genre that encompasses every walk of life out there in every diverse culture and every diverse type of person and people. And unlike a lot of other genres out there, the horror genre can be enjoyed by everyone. So with that, I do want to bring in my special guest for today that we're going to be discussing the film that we are talking about today, and that would be Mr. Dave Watkins. I want to thank you for joining us on this great day of programming.
Yeah, good to be back. We're talking about, I guess you hadn't announced the movie. We're talking about this movie we're about to talk about.
The movie we're talking about, everyone, is May from 2002 and directed by one of my favorite directors, which is Lucky McKee. I've always been a huge fan of his, and I think this is actually his first feature-length film. So it's going to be interesting to talk about this one. We're going to definitely tackle more of his films as we go along this year. I have them on our list, so we will be tackling other movies by his. But this is just a great opportunity to get to May, which is the one that also has Angela Bettis in it, which is also a favorite of mine too, because she's such an accomplished actress now. And this is one of the films that got her started. So let's begin. I do want to ask you, Dave, when did you first see this film? What were your impressions? All that type of stuff first.
I saw it for the first time fairly recently, I think within the last year, because it was one of the Vestron was Vestron collection releases, which I've been collecting all of them as they've been released. And when I saw it, I did the cover of it is very striking. The original cover of it, I did recognize that for when it was first released. But it's the first time I saw it. It does feel like an indie movie, which I do like it. I do like that aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
It also has Anna Faris in it, who would go on to play the scary movie films. Really, really hilarious woman in those films. But here she still has a lot of charisma, but she plays a completely different type of character that's more serious, but still a lot of fun the way she plays the character.
I was completely surprised. I had forgotten that she was in this film because when I originally saw this in 2002, I didn't know who the hell she was. But after like the scary movies and everything else that she's done in her career, I actually had a lot of fun with Anna Faris, and I forgot how much I liked her in this movie.
Yeah, she's very she's kind of got a bit of an aura around her, a lot of charisma. She kind of plays into we talk about LGBTQ
Mm-hmm.
plus themes of this film. Her character kind of plays into that part of it a lot, and this isn't. It does have that in part of it, but it's more not necessarily about that because it's more about the main character who is having she's got some mental, and that's the thing is she does have some mental issues. So, and a lot of times when you deal with like any horror movie, whether the character's gay or straight or whatever, most of the time you're going to be dealing with some kind of mental issues, and when like it's not necessarily the best representation of gay themes, even though I think it works really well in horror movies. But you do have to say going into a horror movie that it's not going to necessarily show it all in a positive light.
Mm. So, with with this film, I think this film, and it was being one of McKee's first films. The themes were in there, and he wanted to explore a lot of different types of themes with a character that is confused. Because she's a wallflower, but she's obsessed with one particular guy, played by Jeremy Sisto. I I always, even when I saw this movie in 2002, I always thought he was such an odd choice for the character of Adam because he's been in so many movies and he's so much taller than Angela Bettis in this movie. I always just
Yeah.
see him as very odd pairing with her.
I
But
don't know. I thought it kind of worked the way that the character played out, but
that's the
um,
thing. It
yeah,
does work. It does work because the thing is, Jeremy Sisto, I think, is an underrated actor because he's able to play so many different levels. Like when you look at him, it doesn't seem like it's gonna work, but because of who he is and the character he's playing, it seems almost natural for him and Angela Bettis' character May to kind of hook up inadvertently because even the first time you see Jeremy Sisko Adam with her, it's not really kind of like he's interested in her romantically, but it kind of segues there until she starts doing the odd things because she's not experienced. Or she
well,
gets
yeah,
her
yeah.
she gets her ideals from stuff that she's seen in movies or read, which is why she always asks the questions, "Am I doing it right?" type of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
But she's definitely inexperienced, but I
yeah.
think there's something a little more going on than that with her. She seems to be, like I said, she has some kind of like psychological problems that could be extreme form of autism or some other mental disorder of some sort.
Mhm.
But she does it's very evident in the later half of the film, but it could be like I mean I'm you know it's a film so it's not necessarily going to have you're not going to be able to diagnose somebody but it could be something like schizophrenia but it's schizophrenia like there was an episode of ER where somebody was schizophrenic that they killed one of the main characters and maimed one of the others but they say that that doesn't really happen that often with schizophrenic cases but it does happen in horror movies and movies
Yeah.
because but it's the way that the character what she does is she's obsessed with the guy not because of who he is or she's obsessed with his hands.
Yeah.
She fixates on his hands and that's what she when she starts talking to him she's like I really like your hands and you know and she's very awkward but it's like her fixation on certain body parts and he's like okay yeah he's like I used to be a hand model and she's like really and he's like no I'm joking but you know she also is like doesn't get um humor. She doesn't get
Yeah.
humor. She doesn't. It's like so. That's why I think it has a lot of. There's some autism of some sort going on with her character.
So
Yeah.
and I think a lot, and this is the thing about the movie. I'm not sure yet. I have to rewatch it yet again because I always kind of saw this as like she is the way she is based on her parents, her upbringing with her mother, and the fact that her mother gives her a doll that she can never actually play with,
Yeah.
only look at. And then, of course, that doll becomes an in facto surrogate friend that she has for her entire life, even up till her adulthood. And it's a friend that she hides from everyone else until she gets up the courage to bring it to the blind kids that she eventually meets up with. When
You
she
think?
thinks,
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to point out too. Before that, she's ostracized from the other kids because her something's gone. It's kind of has a lazy eye, and
yeah,
her parents would make her feel really self-conscious about it, trying to make her wear an eye patch, and so all the kids call her a pirate. And they don't embrace it, and so that they basically won't play with her. So she
mhm.
ends up the doll being her only friend. Yeah, I mean, it definitely that doesn't help for sure. It's
That's the thing is, in horror films, we get used to these type of tropes of characters who are mistreated because of a difference physically, emotionally, or something like that. I mean, we get the same thing with the original with Jason Voorhees, who was got kind of like we hear the story from Pamela Voorhees that he's like the character, the kid who was picked on by the other kids, and we get that from a lot of different other horror characters. We just have never seen that really for a female horror
yeah.
character, and that's what makes this such an interesting story because this whole movie is told from her perspective. You know,
Right, yeah, and it's like it is odd because the female perspective of it, of course, written I believe by a guy, but it's still I think there's too much emphasis on a lot of times on who writes it because I think it holds up to me.
oh yeah,
But I think that to say if they put this character, if you made this character a guy would not have it wouldn't work as good. It would just the whole time you would be thinking the dude was a creep because of what she does.
Mhm.
Because she stalks this guy, she comes around. So you not necessarily say stalking, but I mean, but she does like stalking
Fixate.
is not stalking. But she to stalk somebody means you keep following. Well, she does stalk him. Right? She does, but at first
Yeah, she does.
she's just watching him in a
She's just
creepy
watching him.
way. But in a creepy way. But it's more acceptable because she's not a guy and she's smaller than the dude, and he could, and so in theory, you would think that he could overpower her if it came down to it.
But I also think that part of that leads to the fact that she's trying to build up the confidence to actually uh see him. Like she fixes her lazy eye and she gets all this stuff done to herself that she makes herself a new dress to try to hopefully get him to notice her. A stalker would just kind of stay in the background, probably taking some pictures and stuff like that. So it's kind of like you're watching this. She's not a young girl, but a young girl in mind, trying to get up the courage to talk to the guy she likes. But it's not the guy she likes; it's the guy's hands.
Yeah,
Uh,
but
you know,
the way that she looks, the actress is very pretty. She does a really good job with this character and making her a really attractive woman. It's making her look unattractive in a way, but she does a good job of doing certain things that as you're watching this, you kind of feel what this guy feels that
yeah,
you're like, okay, I'm out. It definitely gets to that point where you're like, yeah, this is too weird. And the dude's weird to begin with. He's kind of
yes.
weird, like we're weird, where they got weird shit in his room, and so
That's the thing I liked about it because he's not like your typical male
yeah,
filmmaking geek horror nerd.
yeah,
He likes horror, but he likes it as a at a distance when it's a special effect in a movie.
yeah, yeah,
Like other than in his real world, it's normal. He's a mechanic who goes to the laundromat to wash his clothes. He chills at a little cafe every day to eat. He seems like
yeah,
a normal person,
yeah,
except he's
yeah.
involved in these horror films that are really graphic. And of course, I like the fact that May thinks that because he likes the horror movies, she thinks that that's part of what he is in reality, and
Yeah.
that is not the truth.
Yeah, I mean, but the same thing would go for me though, because or I would assume you as well. But it's like I like horror movies, but if I don't like horror movies in real life,
Yeah.
it's like yeah, I like watching it, but if that shit like becomes real suddenly, I'm going to leave.
Well, that's why the Adam character, when he reacts to like her biting his lip on purpose and
Yeah,
other
yeah,
stuff, it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
yeah, yeah. It's not. Yeah, it stops being fun once you start bleeding. It's like, yeah, I'm bleeding for real. This is like not. But yeah, then she starts rubbing it all over herself. All.
Yeah, yeah. So and she references his movie, like because he did this in his movie, he likes this in real life.
Yeah,
I think the deeper thing with the May character is you kind of get the sense that maybe she doesn't watch movies. Like
yeah,
she's not into that world. Like she knows a lot about that type of stuff from real life because of what she does as a vet. And I thought that was a great choice as a job for her. She
right.
found
Yeah,
a
yeah,
job where she gets to see that on a daily basis and she's numb to it. And so she
yeah,
just thinks
yeah,
that's part of real life.
yeah. She actually thinks that it's cool the
Yeah,
weird shit that happens to the dogs and stuff, and
that was
very
interesting.
like yeah, very like it's hard to watch like animal abuse really that it's in some instances, but there's a little bit of animal abuse in the film, but it's not like a lot, but you can just tell that she's off.
Because of the
Really,
stories, her
yeah.
stories. But
But yeah, it's scary though. You think about somebody being as off as she is, where she presents herself in a way where she may be kind of cute and kind of sexy a little bit, but she's off in a way that she's actually thinking about things like the guy's dog's legs detached, which is kind of over her top scene, I thought, but he lost his dog's leg, and she says she can reattach it to the dog. Where you think that she can, obviously, they never really follow up with that, but
no,
if she did try to reattach the leg to the dog, it would be really horrific.
Yeah.
So it's
Well,
it,
it's kind of like the story she says about the guy in which they had the wrong size stitches to stitch up the pet, and all of
it,
course the
yeah.
stitches came out. Like
Oh man.
I had forgotten that that story was in there until I rewatched it. I was like, oh shit, I
Yeah.
forgot about this story.
Yeah.
Yeah, that,
It's funny, like the doctor is like a foreign dude who can't speak English very good. He often mispronounces like what he's called a scoople instead of a scalpel.
yes,
And he doesn't show him that much, but it's kind of funny. And so he's not a very good doctor on top of that from what she's saying, because he did that, like you're saying about the
yeah,
intros.
yeah.
It's funny when she tells the Adam character the stories too. He does not like them. He's kind of
No,
like he doesn't like real stories. He's
no, he
like he
doesn't like
likes
me.
hard. I'm the same way. I don't like real, like a lot of people like the real horror stories, like to watch like the documentaries of them. When I see something like that, it does disturb me, especially when it has to do with animals and it's real, you know.
I, I don't I like true crime stories only because a lot of what we watch is in horror, especially in some of the more thriller aspects of the horror genre, which we don't cover on this podcast that often. Um Kind of derived from real life stories, a lot of them.
Yeah,
And
yeah, sure. Like a lot of them come from Ed Gein, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or
and
really anything like that, or Dahmer and all that. But it's
it's yeah, and you're right. Some of the times when I'm listening to the real stories based on these, it's a little bit more disturbing than when I'm watching like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where I know that they've only taken certain aspects of the real story and then
yeah,
embellished the rest of it. Psycho, which just takes really small aspects of the story and embellishes the rest of it. I think that allows us to be a little bit safer than when we actually sit down and
yeah,
watch one of those true crime stories. But with
yeah,
May thinks it's all true crime. It's all real. Like when she's watching Adam's films, she's like really like into that, which is why I get the impression that she doesn't watch a lot of movies. Is like she's not only cut off from the world, the outside world, emotionally and probably physically, definitely, but also just in simple terms of entertainment. Like I don't get the sense that she goes out and watch movies or go to the theater or go to the places to sing karaoke or any of that
yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Uh,
I don't think so either. Which is
which makes her
yeah,
socially awkward.
yeah, yeah. It's well, I think watching movies can make you socially awkward too, but but I mean, but she's definitely socially awkward because she doesn't have any social skills.
Social
Yes.
skills, that's a good word.
Yeah,
She
she has
lacks
very
a lot of
little.
social
Yeah,
skills.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But she's yeah, but that movie that he made's pretty funny too. It's like it's so funny that it reminds me of a lot of films I saw in film school, like the people would
Exactly.
make. It's like so dead on. The way that it's shot is black and white, and they're trying to be artsy with it. And it's
When I was rewatching this, I was like, "Oh my god, did I make a movie like this when I was in a fucking film school?" And I'm
yeah, yeah,
pretty sure I did make a
right.
couple movies like this. I was like, "Oh my god, this
It's done
brought
like the
back some memories."
It's got like a music playing, it may have even been a movie that he made in film school. But it's like the Hanky Panky song. It's like my baby does the
Yeah,
hanky panky, and it's like about like basically having a picnic, and then they start eating each other. And that's the whole thing.
the whole thing.
But it's all
Uh,
done to music, so it's like a music video in a way, and
yeah,
it's
I kind of
yeah.
think that maybe Lucky McKee had watched like Necromantic before doing that little short film in there. Uh,
Her feedback to the movie is really funny too, because she's like what did she say? She says something like, the part I found unrealistic is that she was able to bite his whole finger off in one bite. And it's like, and he assumes that she's making a joke, but
yes.
she's dead serious. She found that unrealistic. She's like, that's not gonna work, you know?
That's just a testament to kind of I like the chemistry these two actors have together in this film. It's like those looks that Adam gives to her for some of the stuff she says is just priceless.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And I haven't seen the movie in a very long time. And I didn't tell people I saw this movie when it originally came out because it got a lot of notice at either
Right, yeah. I
it
remember
got
seeing the poster that really like stood out. It was like I did see it around at the time. What was it? 2002, right? Yeah.
2002. So yeah, I saw it when it came out. I did not see it at the theater if it got a theatrical release at all. I did see it when it came out on video and all that type of stuff. I still have the DVD that I bought in 2000 and probably 2 or 2003 that came out with the movie. I've not upgraded my version of it.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, it looks. I mean, I don't know if they'll ever do a 4K. They may do it, but it's a Blu-ray from Vestron, and it's right now it's the best version. But it looks good though.
yeah, yeah,
And,
and the thing is, the movie, in my opinion, because it's been at least a decade since I last saw this, at least a decade. For me, the film still holds up really well because of the two actors. Because in theory, or not in theory, but in practice, Lucky McKee has become a much more refined director. If you watch some of his latter films compared to this one, so it's really for me what holds this movie together is a lot of the performances and the writing based on what was crafted with the story. Because having Anna Faris's, what is her character, Polly be a lesbian character in the film makes for a very interesting dichotomy when you're watching. You're watching May, who at first was attracted to um Adam's
Adam.
hands,
Yeah,
and she's mentioned that she's really thought that Polly's neck was very beautiful neck, but
yeah.
when she gets the opportunity to actually act out on that, she ends up they end up getting together and having sex, and that ends up being her assumed sex. That ends up being her first kind of sexual encounter. Of course, she gets attached because it is her first sexual encounter, and then that leads to a little bit more craziness later on in the film when we all learn that Polly just kind of goes with whoever she's with at any given time, pretty much.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Polly's just out to have a good time.
Out to have a good time.
Yeah, yeah. These are very, very young characters. They're probably like in their early 20s. They're still kind of got that college mentality going on.
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, especially Polly. But May is a very serious character
Mm,
when she comes to relationships, and she's the type of person where if either one of these characters, like Polly or Adam, decided they wanted to be with her, she would stay with them, I
yeah.
think, and she would latch herself onto them. But neither one of them, they both want to date other people, and Polly will. She actually is into things like threesomes and stuff because she
Yeah.
comes in there and Polly's got her friend with really nice legs that May likes her legs. Um, but she sees her legs and she's like, nice legs. But then that girl who ends up being a real bitch, but she, but she, like Polly's like, hey, you could join us. We could all have fun together. And then May's like heartbroken over that
Yeah.
because she sees herself in a relationship already from them just making out or doing whatever they did, maybe having sex that one night. She sees that as a relationship, and then
Yeah.
Polly has completely betrayed her by doing what she's doing.
Which is interesting because this all leads to kind of like the way May reacts because she sees when Adam rejects her after Adam not understanding her advances and how her reactions to certain things that he did. He sees her, or she sees him with another girl. I can't remember that other girl's name because Adam moves on real quickly too to another girl.
Right, yeah. But
I,
too, there's like a scene too when she goes up to Adam's house, which
yeah,
she does the weirdest shit. Like he pretty much like after she bites him, he doesn't want really to do anything, have
yeah,
anything to do with her, but she keeps calling him over and over and showing up, and he has to just keep telling her to really to screw off, but she becomes a stalker and won't leave.
yeah.
But then, yeah, he eventually starts dating another girl. But she comes up to the door at that one scene, and he's in there talking to his friend, and it sounds like she thinks they're talking about her, but they're talking about the other girl. And then they start talking about how much of a lunatic
May
May is. They're like, he's like, yeah, I got rid of her. We're good now.
and then she walks away without him ever knowing that she was eavesdropping on him. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
I like that. I like those scenes because those scenes kind of she gets to see how other people are when she's not in the room with them. Those type of experiences are things that she's not familiar with because she lives such a
yeah,
solitary life. Um, and so
yeah.
very similar to how what happens with the Polly character after she's kind of taken back by the fact that Polly just brings in another girl and they want to do a threesome, and that's not exactly what she's interested in. So
Right. Yeah. I mean, it during the during the scene, like it's interesting. Like the Polly character too does some kind of shifty things throughout, even like as even not even as a character who would like hurt her in that in a relationship type of way, but earlier on, she's kind of flirts with her throughout. Right away, right away, like her character like seemed like she was flirting with her, but like when I was watching this, I didn't realize they were going to go in the lesbian direction with it, but she does things like she asks her if she likes pussy at one point, and she's like, What do you mean?" And then she's like, "Oh, the cat.
yeah.
Do you like pussy cats?" And then she's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Well, you know, I can't have this cat anymore for whatever reason it is." And she's like, "Can you keep the cat?" So she kind of like tricks her into keeping the cat for her,
Yeah.
and then she ends up killing the cat later on with the ashtray that she gets from the blonde girl at the school. But she gets mad at Polly, doesn't she, when she kills the cat, or she get mad at Adam? I think
I
she gets mad at Polly, I
think it's
think.
Polly.
But she
I made a note of it, but I couldn't remember which one.
yeah. I'm pretty sure it's Polly because the cat comes from Polly,
Yeah.
but she throws the ashtray at it as it's walking across the room and it kills it. I don't know if she did it completely on purpose, but then she
I
freezes it. She walks around with the corpse for a while in the movie. It's pretty
Yeah.
disturbing, really. It's
Yeah, well, I think, yeah, I think the thing is that she also has this short amount of reprieve when she decides to take an interest in the blind kids that are just always in the park that Adam goes to, that she starts to go to because Adam goes there. Uh,
yeah,
which I thought was very interesting. Because
yeah,
for me, though, and I didn't think about this till I just recently watched this, is that the idea of these people who are blind, so they can't see her fallacies, are they just can they just hear her, and she becomes kind of like almost a mentor for a very short amount of time. That she talks to the troubled one
yeah.
into having her make the ashtray for her that has her name in it. And then of course she destroys that. And then eventually what happens is she decides to bring her doll. Did she ever give the doll a name? I
Yeah, the
don't
doll has a name. It's I think it's Susan or something. Susie.
Oh shit, I never you know what? I never
Uh,
wrote down the doll's name.
yeah,
Um
yeah, the doll's name's Susie, but yeah, that who she talks to throughout the film.
about the whole
Yeah, or sometimes it's in a way that's not even talked to. Like it's like a one time like when the Adam leaves the room, she's in there screaming at the doll, like she's repeating what he's like. She's like, "I told you to be turned around," you know, because she was turned around. She's saying the doll turned herself around so Adam could see her, and she's blaming the doll for him leaving after she bites him. You know?
and he hears some of this, so
Yeah, he's just like, "Oh
he's
man, she's a
gotta know that
nut."
she's not completely a,
Yeah.
a very hinged person.
Yeah. But
Uh,
when something bad happens, like earlier on, like Adam tries to kiss her when she goes in to his room and she's very impressed with all this horror stuff he has around in the room. And she starts trying to kiss him and she just doesn't kiss right. She about knocks him over and just kissing like almost like she's breathing really hard and just like way overexcited. He's like, "All right, calm down." He's like, who taught you how to kiss?"
I know.
And then she goes back to the door and she's like, "Who taught me how to kiss?"
It's funny, but it's also tragic at the same. And the thing is, they do a really good balance of making this really tragic
Yeah,
girl sympathetic despite what she does, because she is very tragic. Like it's just, and I've always tried to figure out whether or not it was a psychological thing or if it was nurture because of the way her parents are, or physical deformity because of her lazy eye and how kids treated her. This is part of the reason
yeah,
why she is the way she is. Regardless, it's
yeah.
tragic.
Right. I mean, I think all of those come into effect, but I think that there is a mental illness to begin with,
Yeah.
that it wasn't nurtured in a way. It wasn't. It wasn't like
Like,
it wasn't treated.
Absolutely.
there's definitely a mental illness that needs to be treated probably with unfortunately with medication with this character, but it could stem from this trauma from childhood from her parents and the other kids ostracizing her. But I think it's much deeper than that, and something that's way off. There's something really off with her character, but I think it could be treated in a way that I think what happens in the film, if she was going to some kind of therapy or treatment, it probably wouldn't have happened the way that it happens in the movie.
Oh no, hands down. No, I don't. I believe that 100%. At some point, when she has left the nest of home and gone to live on her own and work and all that type of stuff, you kind of get the impression that if her family's even still alive, she's never bothered to speak to them in years. That she's like she's almost like a nun up in her own
Yeah,
little world.
they probably like it's probably not her choice or her family maybe like got her out of there. You know, it's like she's a weirdo. You know, I'm probably worried they were going to kill her. You know, she was going to kill them. You know, it's
Oh man. Well, and the thing is, there are so many movies, and fortunately or unfortunately, because a lot of these movies are really good, where is a unhinged female character that seems to have been nurtured improperly growing up, to have some deep-seated trauma that, leads to stuff like this film. This film, I believe, does a much. It's a slow burn, to say the least, until the point where she just, after her Susie is destroyed by the kids at the school, it's completely broken her. Her
yeah,
best
yeah.
friend has more or less been shattered, and then she has to latch out. She has to create her own friend, so to speak, a new friend. And I think when this came out, if I remember correctly, I had not seen anything like this, where the main character decides to kill people for to build a friend, so to speak.
Right. You know, that is when it turns. She breaks the dog gets broken.
Yeah,
Well, those blind kids, like they act like rabid animals.
yeah,
Like she. What's weird is the dolls. Weird stuff's happening with the doll. I mean, this movie does. I think there is some supernatural stuff going on in the movie, especially evidenced by the last scene of the film. But there's something supernatural going on with the doll. Over time, the doll's case is cracking. And that's something else. Maybe that doll, if we're we're living in a movie world here where there's possibility that there's something evil about this doll to begin with, something supernatural that may be causing May to be the way that she is. So it's a possibility of that. It may also sows, and that's something that's important
mhm,
for later on. But after that doll, the kids go crazy because she brings the doll in there and she's like going to show it to them because they're all blind. They can't even see the doll to begin with.
yeah.
But then they want to grab it and break it. So something that draws these blind kids to the doll, even though they don't know what it is, they can sense it in a way that other people can't, and they
Mhm.
want to destroy it. And they grab it and they throw it on the ground. And these blind kids are like they're acting very very
Rabbits.
manic, yeah, and they're actually crushing the glass on the floor, getting glass in their hands and all in their skin. And it's almost like there is something wrong with the doll.
You know what? I didn't think about it that way, but
Yeah.
you're right. The doll, when she brings it to as like a show and tell type of thing, and they all clamor for it at the same time, does seem a little bit rabid. When these kids were never like that, when we see them in scenes in the park, where they were
Yeah,
docile.
and the fact it's in the fact that they're blind and they sense it. So and if you think about it, and I'm really thinking about this for the first time because it's so unsubtly in a way that I'm now that I'm seeing it, but it
Yeah.
is there the whole movie. I mean that's an explanation for the disorder that she has. That if you don't want to say that it's a disorder that stems from a mental disorder, the disorder is coming from a supernatural presence.
That's
Um,
interesting. I never thought about it that way, but if you pull in that last scene, very, very last scene, then you could probably have evidence to back that up because I never thought about that. I was going to ask you about the last scene, so we're not going to get there just yet.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
But I mean, I think if you can make that last scene make perfect sense if you apply a supernatural element to the
yeah, I
doll
never
the
thought
whole
about that.
time, and then the doll is let out of the case. It's never supposed to be let out of the
Yeah,
case, and it is. And once it is, after that, that's when she goes out to the bench, and she meets like a punk dude played by James Duvall shows up. James Duvall, you recognize him, but he's in Independence Day, played like Randy Quaid's son, and he's on
I,
the Doom generation. He played like one of the main characters in that.
yeah. I
Yeah,
only recognized him when I rewatched it. I was like, oh my god.
yeah, yeah. He's a pretty good actor. He's not in this very much. He gets pretty
No,
high billing though for his screen time. I think he's like fourth billed.
I think so too.
But yeah, I think yeah. So she meets him on a bench, and he has a Frankenstein tattoo, which is also that's also part of this film because it is a
Yeah.
Frankenstein film, really, when it comes down to it. But she brings him back. He finds it's funny because he's on some kind of drugs. He's tweaking or something, and he's like wanting some ice cubes for his nipples. And then he opens the freezer to get ice cubes for his nipples, and then there's a
Yeah.
yeah, there's a cat. The cat's dead in there, which she could have explained this better than she does because I mean she's a vet. She has. I mean, if you have a dead animal in your freezer like that, that is maybe your animal. You put it in the freezer until you can bury it. That's what vets do. Yeah, if they have a dead dog, they put it in a freezer. But she's doing something weird with it, obviously. But he freaks out. She doesn't handle it very good. She kills him with scissors, and that's the first time she kills somebody, and it's pretty brutal. And it happens right after the doll is let out of the case.
You know what? Yeah, I never thought about the supernatural element because I forgot that the as this film starts off, the case does have the crack does get bigger and bigger. So something is trying to get out of that little case, or it's a dual idea of her fractured mental state.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I mean, there's no evidence in the movie to show that she's ever hallucinating or but it could, that's another possibility. That's another explanation is that the things that happen, like the doll, there is some kind of hallucination and it's all in her mind, but you never see something that doesn't happen. You never see something happen that's undone,
no,
on screen.
no, you don't. Interesting, interesting.
I mean, I
But
think, yeah, it leaves definitely leaves some things open to interpretation.
okay. This leads her on her killing spree, so to speak. Uh,
And this is, I guess, technically a Halloween movie too, even though it doesn't like embrace it. There's a
no,
light Halloween element. You see a pumpkin being carved the first time you see Polly, or the second time you see her, and then this is a Halloween. There's some talk about what they're going to dress up for Halloween, but it doesn't fully embrace Halloween. It doesn't.
no.
It has it in there lightly, but the very end of the movie takes place at Halloween.
Yeah, because they make note of her outfit and saying that she is the people she passes say she's got a great Halloween costume. Uh,
Yeah, she dresses like the doll. I think she maybe even becomes the doll at that point because she suddenly dresses like the doll is, and she goes and starts killing people.
she's killing people very specifically for certain body parts that she finds their most attractive quality. And I like
Yeah,
that. Like
and then yeah,
she's not just like Frankenstein looking for random body parts. She's found the body parts that she likes, that she thinks are the best part of these people that she's met. Legs, a neck, hands.
yeah. What did she like anything on the punk dude, or I don't I'm sure used his body for part of it, I'm sure, but I
I'm
don't think
trying to.
I don't yeah.
I think there was, to be honest with you, but I don't remember. Which really,
I don't think she specifically says anything. I mean, he does have that Frankenstein tattoo, which ends up on the body, so they
yeah,
probably they probably used she probably used him for the torso more than likely, I would think.
probably
But
because right, because she carries around the cooler to put the other body parts that she's keeping in.
yeah, but that so she goes over to Holly's house, and it's pretty cool. She has the scoople that the doctor calls them, or the scalpels from the vet, and she has Polly on the couch, and she puts the scalpels up against her neck, and Polly's like, "I trust you, baby. Just do
Yeah.
whatever you want to do." And then she just stabs her in the neck, and the shock of Polly's face is such a great performance for that part. And
Yeah.
that's just a brutal thing to do too to somebody, especially when they say that they trust you, and then
Yeah.
just like into the neck,
Well,
done.
it's one of those things where, Polly, because they've worked together for so long and they had this intimate moment, but Polly doesn't realize how unhinged she is. Like, she has no clue. Like, as long as she's
Yeah,
known May, she never had this thing that clicks off that says May is unhinged at some
yeah.
point, not exactly normal.
Yeah, Polly's a little like bubbly and kind of she's not very observant, and that her friend, like Polly's friend that she's in a sexual relationship with too, was that Ambrosia
Ambrosia.
does immediately notice how weird she is, so with hardly even seeing her at all, because she hears her talking briefly at the apartment, but the first time she meets her at the vet, she comes out and talks with her briefly, and
Yeah.
then Polly walks away. I mean, not Polly. Then May walks away, and then her friend Ambrosia's like, she's a really weirdo, real strange, or something like that."
Yeah.
Yeah, but at first it's like that's an odd thing to say. Are you maybe she's jealous, but I think she senses it. I think most people maybe sense something a little off kilter about her that they just don't have. She has a weird aura about her, I believe, that some people can sense it.
Yeah, I know that. I guarantee you that's part of it. But certain people are can ignore it or don't see it. Like Adam doesn't pick up on it, despite the fact that the very first time Adam even recognizes who she is or sees who she is, she's put her head under his hands while he's passed out at the cafe, and he wakes up to her there.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. We
You
didn't talk
think
about that part.
you
Yeah.
think that at that moment that you would think that someone's a little weird if they're gonna put their
Yeah.
head and caress your hands with their head
While you're asleep.
while
Yeah.
you're asleep
Yeah,
in public, no
yeah.
less.
Yeah. It is like I mean she gets away with it because she is somewhat attractive, but that
She's
is not
innocent.
it's yeah, she seems innocent and it's somewhat attractive, but that type of shit isn't gonna fly, I don't think.
No, I do think it would be pretty hard for an audience in this day and age to kind of fall for that post Me Too, Black Lives Matter, and every other event that's happened in our culture. It would
Yeah.
be really hard for someone to buy this concept in this day and age.
Well, yeah, I mean,
But
yeah, I'd say it's like, I mean, it would work. It works when the girl walks up to you and does it because like not every guy, some guys are going to be all a little up in arms, but it's like the weird fucking look that she's looking at him like after she's caressing him, and if you wake up and you see how fucking that just kind of just
unhinged look.
yeah, the unhinged like look, and it's just like wow, that's weird. You're a little unstable. You're like mentally like deranged. But at the same time, it's like it can, I think it would be like a woman can get away with that a lot more than a guy could. Say if she was not, say for instance, if she was not a character who was the way that she is, she's just a regular girl. She falls asleep in the cafe, and a dude walks up to her and starts doing that. That dude would be getting arrested, you know. But the opposite's not true. Like if a girl does it, it's like okay, you're thinking that's just kind of weird. This is kind of random and unrelated, but I did see this video of this girl who liked sucking on guys' toes, and he was in this airport, and she literally walks up to him, asks him if she could suck his toes, and she did it in the airport, and he like had her whole mouth around his foot and everything, and then she left, and it's like wow, okay, but yeah.
Oh my.
But yeah, I mean, if you had like a toe fetish, and the guy was like, "Yeah, cool, cool," but you imagine that like it was the opposite. Some guy walks up to you, like a woman, "Hey, let me suck your toes,"
Oh, Dave, when you put it like that, oh my God.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I mean,
don't
it's yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It's technically unfair, but I understand it though. I think it in real life it works. it's one of those things where women have some advantages in certain situations like that, and I think it's you might look at it as being like a imbalance, but I don't know. I mean, it's just the way that it is.
Well, the imbalance in this film works in this film up to a point when
Yeah,
the characters actually realize that May's really well. Actually, they don't ever realize that she's unhinged until it's too fucking late. So,
yeah,
uh,
yeah. But they do. I mean, he realizes does realize it. I think because he gets rid of her. That
he does, but he wants to like reconcile the way that he treated her in that one scene. Like
yeah,
the first time we see him, he kind of they meet each other in the laundromat again, and then he just kind of walks away.
yeah.
Uh,
He tries to like talk to her briefly, and she starts saying some more weird stuff, and he's like
yes,
just leaves. You know,
yeah,
just like
yeah, and which is interesting because he's that scene is interesting because he says the reason he gives her leaving is that the machine doesn't work, but
yeah,
then she goes over there to test the machine and the
yeah.
machine works perfectly fine. It's
Yeah,
those
that's how.
little
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like that's how crazy she is. It's like she's gonna go and make sure that
yeah
when it's real obvious that the dude's leaving. There's a lot of other machines, but it's he left just because how weird she is.
yeah
But yeah, I mean, then he tries to talk to her again in the park, and he wants to be friends, and she's not. He knows at that point in the park, it's not ever going to be friends because she's just like she's too hung up on him. She's too crazy,
yeah.
and it's a
I have to commend the film for kind of sticking with her character the whole way, pretty much to the entire film, because this could have gone really different if we stayed with his character at any given moment. But seeing everything from her perspective makes it much more not just character driven, but much more interesting journey for us as an audience member to watch because we don't get this point of view
right.
very often.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's a very it's hard to write that or it's hard to write things that way, but it's a strong way to write things, follow a character. It's very strong, but it is challenging because you have to show scenes that might be a little boring to be able to connect dots, because she has to actually I come in and hear him talking to his
Mhm.
friends about her, and things about other characters have to be revealed. She has to be able to experience the reveal, like not the audience. She has to be able to
Yeah.
experience the reveals that there's nothing there's nothing the audience necessarily knows that she doesn't know.
No, that's why I said earlier I really like the way this film is written because like you just said, it's really hard to stay with the single character POV
Yeah,
for an entire story. Because we're in film, it's so easy just to cut to the other characters to get the information, then cut back to the main character. But for the most part, this movie sticks with May. We see everything from her perspective, as skewed as it is.
yeah.
Um, and
I was
I,
like, yeah, we were talking about the Dead Zone the other day, and that was like that weird scene where it shows like Martin Sheen's character without
yeah,
Christopher Walken's character. But that movie is told from Christopher Walken's point of view, I think, except
yeah,
for when he does the flashback visions. And it's so off-putting, kind of when you have suddenly it's jarring when you have a point of view character who's all scenes are from that character's point of view, when suddenly it's somebody else's out of
yeah.
nowhere for no reason. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's all it is relaying information to the audience that this guy Stilson is a manipulative bad guy.
yeah,
But imagine how much more powerful that movie would have been if it had stayed with Johnny's character the entire way. And even if
yeah,
we get
yeah.
that information, we get something like it, or we
Yeah,
question.
we didn't need that scene was not needed at
Yeah,
all. I liked it okay, but it was not needed. You did not need it.
yeah,
And it did take away from it really because it was so. But anyway, so that's it. But this movie does stick with her point of
yeah,
view,
yeah,
and it's hard. It's hard to do it because she comes back to her apartment and she does things like wallow in self pity, try to call the dude, and it's just like
yeah,
it's a hard scene to experience because I think in some ways, I mean, I know I've kind of felt that way before, but not as ridiculous as she's doing it. There's definitely point. I remember being young and some girl not calling me back and like
Yeah.
trying to like and just sitting there waiting by the phone, like is she
Oh
gonna
yeah.
call, and then it's like it's real simple that the person could have like could have like communicated with you more, so you're not standing by the phone. Because back then too, there wasn't cell phones, so it was like, are they gonna fucking call or what's going on? And it would be days of that sometimes, So I mean,
And
I
then
feel that. I feel that.
and the interesting to watch this movie now. Like, cell phones, everyone has their cell phone. They can just call you right back or
Yeah,
text you right back or
yeah, yeah.
instant
But
message you right then and there.
but it's the same thing with text though. If you like you're sending a text to somebody and they're not responding, it'll drive you just as crazy as sitting by the phone waiting for them to call you back.
Yeah.
You know, if you let yourself get in that mindset, if you don't, you can't do that because you got to work on something that you want to work on instead of if they're not calling you back or texting you back, you got to figure out something for you instead of sitting there waiting for them to do it.
Well,
Or or you're going to be killing cats and and
I was
stabbing
just
people in
about
the
to say.
neck.
Well, I was about to say, yeah. Well, that's the reason why she goes off and starts collecting her body parts. Starting with, I believe the first one is Adam. Um,
Yeah. No, I mean, at any extent, it's hard though. If somebody ghosts you and you think something good's going on and they ghost you for some reason that you don't know what happened.
yeah,
Probably not even you. Probably, more than likely something that, here it is definitely her, but it could be not you, or it could be that they found somebody else or their ex-boyfriend came back or whatever. And that they're not like a strong enough person to or that can communicate with you that they don't want to deal with disappointing another person or hearing like the feedback that they're going to get that's going to make them feel bad about themselves.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I also keep in mind that the girl that he's with after May is probably the girl he was with before May. He does mention that he has a girl.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Uh,
That's true. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, but we don't get to know anything about her, so you could think that May was this accidental person because you got to remember at first he didn't really want to have like he a friendship was what he was probably thinking with May, not so much anything romantic until like she probably gave him some accolades about his movie, which no one else did, and then it just went from there.
and it's like you're saying, it's pulled from her point of view, so it's good that we don't have all the information fed to us
Yes,
because it is
yes.
kind of make you even more like because that's the way in real life. That's how you don't know in real life. You might you don't know if they're back with their previous like lover or whatever. You don't know that. In movies, sometimes you do, but you have to actually come across them like she does when she goes to his apartment unannounced. Like kind of psycho would do, but with a cooler full of body parts.
Yeah, yeah, no, but it is cool to see her going from house to house collecting body parts in a cooler. You
Yeah,
this isn't related at all, but I kind of had the image of the character of Sam from Trick or Treat carrying
yeah,
this
yeah,
little bag behind him. That's kind
yeah,
of like
yeah, yeah.
what
Yeah, I
kind
could see. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, yeah, definitely. That big bag of body parts.
of.
But after like when she kills Ambrosia, like after she kills Polly, she's still in Polly's apartment. She's got blood all over that den area, but Ambrosia comes into the kitchen and she's like, this scene is really poorly lit. I don't know what happened here, but this scene, like to me, looks like the of all the scenes, it's like more looks more of like an indie film than anything. I don't know. It feels like they didn't have like a key light or something. They just used the practical that whatever was in the room already. They just used like which is lit by a fluorescent light up top. But Polly comes in and she's like, no, Ambrosia comes in and she's looking for Polly, and then May comes in and starts talking to her, and she's like, "Man, you are so weird." I don't. It pretty much tells her that she doesn't like her. And she starts drinking milk, and then May starts saying weird stuff. She's like, "You have beautiful legs," and turn around, which is like that's kind of it's kind of interesting that she gets a little forceful, like turn around, and Ambrosia eventually does it, You know, she's like, all right, yeah, just turn around, whatever. And then when she turns back, that's just she has the two scalpels and she stabs them into the side of her head, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And then she drops the milk on the ground, and then blood goes all into the milk. So it's like this white milk mixed with blood, and it's a really cool effect. But yeah, I mean, it's that's so then that's like then the next step that she goes to Adam's house, and Adam's there with that other girl who's probably his girlfriend from before that they've kind of lightly broken up and then gotten back
Yeah.
together more than likely, and they're both wasted drunk.
Yes.
It's Halloween. They're both like so drunk that they can't really defend themselves when they need to.
No. I was I kind of like that aspect because, like I said, because he's so much bigger than her. If
Yeah,
they
yeah.
didn't make his character some type of like inebriated or vulnerable, it would be kind of hard to see her overpower him. So I was perfectly fine with that.
No, no, I thought it was great though. I thought it was like that made it so she was able to kill them both without them, being able to do something to her. So it's funny too because she goes there and the other girl's like comes in and she's like, "Come in, we'll do some shots or whatever." And then she's actually the other girl's a real prick too. And she starts like actually teasing May. She's like because she knows how weird May is because he's told her
Yeah.
about it. She starts like saying his hands are mine now. Watch his hands touch my face. And she's really doing like really like rubbing it in her face in a really mean way. It's like yeah. But then like May just like stabs her right in the neck out of nowhere. It's
So I kind of saw that as her being yet another bully, like what
yeah.
she was growing up with. Like these people that surround the Ambrosia and her are not like nice people.
No, not at all, not at
They're
all. They're very
uh,
possessive and they're gloating when they win.
gloating, good word,
Yeah, yeah,
gloating. They are gloating, and so when they die, you're not in the least bit sympathetic whatsoever. Um, and that's why I think this movie with her character is so different than some of the other characters out there because she's killing people and she's not killing really good people, to be honest.
yeah, yeah. But some of these people, like Adam and Polly, are they're not me. Nobody's necessarily good. Everybody's got some flaws.
They've got flaws.
I think everybody at some point you gotta you're not with the right person or that that sometimes you do have to let people down that you try to do it easily but it could if you do that to somebody like May it might not go very good it's you know but yeah I mean Adam he he throughout the film tries to like make it better but he makes it worse because he doesn't just cut her off cold turkey, which was what the only way
He should have done.
the only thing he doesn't want to feel like a villain. He doesn't want to feel like a bad guy, so he keeps trying to make it better by like having another conversation with her, which makes her think that he may be interested again. But he's really like he's not really trying to be the bad guy. He just knows that she's not the one for him. She
Yeah.
knows that she bit the shit out of his lip and she's a damn nut. So, and Polly is not she doesn't do anything vindictive. Everything she does she is oblivious
Oblivious.
to yeah, she's oblivious to what she's doing. But she's not vindictive. She's not being mean to her. She just thinks that May's on the same page as her. She thinks that May understands her and she doesn't.
So, in earlier in the film, before we see her other girlfriend, she says that she's always liked May from the moment that she first saw May, and that's probably why she acts the way she does with May, and why she can't see some of May's more unlevel qualities. Uh,
Yeah.
so it's an odd thing for them to set her up like that, and then of course have her be with another girl. But it does not seem out of the
Well,
norm
yeah,
for
yeah,
like
yeah,
you kind of
yeah,
expect it, because you're not expecting her to say that she's always found May attractive ever since she first met her. And so it's it it's just
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she's not a good necessarily a good care a good person, but I don't think she's not vindictive. She, in her mind, she thinks, which is possible maybe in some situations, she thinks three people could be in a relationship
Mhm.
and everybody be okay with it. But she's the only one that's gonna be okay with it. The other two people don't even like the other person, other people, you know. So, but in her mind, she thinks that it's gonna be fine, and
It'll be fine.
everybody could just, you know, just,
Yes,
just
yeah, yeah. She's so innocent sometimes. So innocent. And Anna Faris plays it so well, considering everything else I've seen her in. Um
yeah. But it's she's I like Anna Faris a lot. She's really like hilarious in the scary movies. But seeing her do something that's not necessarily funny, it's interesting seeing it's a different. It's still kind of you can still see that quirkiness to her, that like kind of like likability coming out. So I don't think both her, neither her nor Adam are bad people. I just think that they hurt May unintentionally.
yeah, yeah. Um but have we talked about all the body parts that she's gotten? So she's gotten uh
Yeah, because I think she gets Adam's hand. Because what happens with the hands is after she kills the girlfriend with it doesn't show right away Adam being killed, but it cuts to her she's got the cooler back at her place.
yes.
She opens it up and she has his hands
I mean,
severed already, and then it shows some flashbacks
it
of him
shows
dying. Yeah, a
flashbacks.
little
Yeah, it
bit.
shows flashbacks.
Yeah,
Um And so we know how that all ended. I actually liked the fact that it did that instead of us seeing her do the
yeah.
deed with him. Uh,
Right. That was it's a cool like close up too because we don't know exactly what happened to him, but we
no,
know when she opens up that well, I think it was an aluminum foil or something like that, and she opens it up and she's got his hands that we know it's his hands.
yeah.
It's like oh shit, you know, it's she got his ass.
Well, she has to finish making her perfect friend, as she calls it. Uh, her new doll, her perfect friend. Um, and so that's what we see her doing. Um, I had another note somewhere about all this.
Yeah, but that's when like I guess like, she starts sewing together the body from the parts
Hmm.
she's collected, and then she also like and she finds out that it's not working, and that's when she decides she wants to cut her own eye out and put it into the body,
Yes.
which is a very gruesome thing, and like you know when until what happens after that, it's like damn, she's like really completely like lost it and she's gonna die, you're thinking. But before that even happens, like after the kids thing, it's weird. Like she's rubbing like glass into her eye. I thought something weird, more weird was going to happen with that, with the glass in her eye, which that's really hard to watch that too. Like, you know, rubbing glass into your eye and all that weird stuff. But
Well,
it,
the funny thing is that that's how the movie begins, is with her and the bloody eye, but we don't know exactly what's going on just yet. We're just the movie. We see that image, and it's like, what the fuck? And then we finally get there, when we get to like literally at the end of the movie, we finally get there, and all is revealed about exactly what we see, or what she's trying to do with
yeah,
it.
this self-harm of what appears to be self-harm for no reason, that she cuts her own eye out. And we're assuming that she's completely mentally deranged, but she's put this body together from all these people's parts, and
Well, I
she
kind of
lays
got
down.
the.
Yeah, no,
Go ahead. You say your ideal first.
yeah. No, I was going to say what happens, but did you have an idea?
So I kind of thought that because it doesn't work because she hasn't put any of herself, her soul, into her creation, and that's why she has to put her own eye in there. Like
Yeah,
that's the body part that she does not have from anyone else, in theory, because obviously, with hearts, she's Frankenstein, but not Frankenstein, you know.
right. But it was, yeah. I was like, I think when I was watching the movie the first time, that it kind of took me off guard when because she cuts out her eye, and I'm thinking this is it. She's going to die. the cops are going to arrest her or whatever. And then she lays down in the bed with the friggin' body, and it actually comes to life and moves, and it's like, and then it's like, holy shit! At that point, you know, what I'm saying?
Yeah, the one arm
Yeah,
comes and kind of consoles her, and then I think we go to white, if I'm not mistaken, not black. I think it goes to white and it fades to white.
yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
write that
So
note down, but I think you're right.
yeah,
It's
it
kind of like
fades
a,
to white,
yeah,
and you're like, what the hell just happened?
yeah,
So you have to think, is this a supernatural ending? Is this a psychologically deranged ending and just in their head? Everything that you've watched, you have to figure out, because we've seen the whole movie from her perspective, and some people will think, well, we just have an unreliable narrator for the movie. And some people will say, oh, wow, she built something that has a supernatural thing, and the doll came to life, and it's a whole different story, or she's having a mental breakdown. Um, there's some stuff in this film to go all of those different
yeah.
ways, to be honest with you. It really, in my opinion, I think it really just depends on where you are at as a viewer when you're watching this film.
I have a hard time. I have a hard time not believing what we see at the end because we see it come to life, and we never see anything that's not real in the movie. So that's why I think maybe it happens. That's why I kind of lean towards the supernatural aspect of it, but it is open to interpretation too.
Yeah. You know what? Honestly have not read anything about the way this movie ends, in regards to what people think about it.
Uh,
I would
yeah.
have to go back and read some more stuff because I haven't because it's been so long. This movie is over 24 years old now, and so I just don't recall having read anything about what people interpreted by the end, and I have not read any books
Yeah.
on that, like a critical analysis on this film either, like I have a lot of other films.
Well,
So
since it's such a spoiler, what happens at the very end of this movie, people may be reluctant to say it because it's a spoiler, but it's not a spoiler in a way that it's shattering to the movie, like spoiling the end of The Sixth Sense shatters the
mm,
movie. But this, the way that this is, it does like at that end. I mean, it just makes you think, and it's I don't know. I mean, I mean, I guess I'd take it at face value for what we see, but it could mean a lot of other things other than that. It could mean that she is dead, and that's her being dead, and imagining that, or maybe she dies after she cuts her eye out, and there's a lot of possibilities, but I kind of just take it at what we see to be
what you see,
true.
I will say this: I always took it as what you see, just like you did when I originally saw the movie, and for years after. But the distance of it being 24 years and me having not seen the film in at least a decade, I'm more willing to kind of open my eyes a little bit because of what Lucky McKee has done in some of his other films. It's like The Woods and All Cheerleaders Die. Uh, but that also being said, it could also be as realistic as possible from what he's did in The Woman or Red. So you never can tell, until I hear otherwise. I still am thinking it's just like you, that it's more or less more realistic. And the doll finally did come to life for her. She finally got her best friend that she was always clamoring for, that could not have to be locked up in a glass cage where she can't touch it. So I kind of see this as a happy ending for her. So that's how I interpret the movie
Yeah.
now.
Right. And so, between like the possibly maybe becomes the doll, Susie, maybe after she breaks the doll's case, but there's that question too. But I think the ending is very effective, and I don't know if I don't know if I even suspected this was a Frankenstein movie until almost the end of it.
Mm.
When did you like start to notice it was a Frankenstein film?
Not until I just recently rewatched it, dude. Well, the thing is, I've never seen this movie as a Frankenstein film until recently when I watched the not only Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, but Lisa Frankenstein and a crap of other movies that have been using those same tropes now. In
Right.
2002, I don't recall there being a whole bunch of people making Frankenstein movies or Frankenstein themed type movies.
It's
But now,
disguised really well, though. It's because, yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
but all I said was, but now
Yeah.
that just seems to be something that people are exploring more and more and more.
Yeah.
You know.
It's very, I mean, it's very disguised in this movie, and
Mhm.
I mean, even like watching it, you may not even notice, but you definitely see the Frankenstein tattoo on the dude's eye,
Yeah.
on the dude's arm, and then the fact that she starts taking the body parts and makes a creature. But it wasn't until, it's not until that I even like the first time watching it, it wasn't until she actually takes the dude's hands off and has them in the cooler, the body parts in the cooler, that I'm like, she's making a body. I mean, some of the stuff is established. It's kind of like it's pretty well done the way they hide it, because some things are established, like her being able to sew and have
Yeah.
doll parts and body parts of dolls, even though there's no reason for her to be able to. Well, I mean, she's a vet tech, but there's no reason
Yeah.
for her to be able to sew a body together necessarily.
Well, no, but she's also a doctor because
Yeah,
she's a vet tech too.
yeah. I
So
mean, so
there's a
everything's there to make it
yeah.
somewhat make sense. Um, other than, I mean, and the only thing to make it make sense for it to really work is you have to have that supernatural aspect of it, because unlike the other Frankenstein movies, she doesn't have lightning or anything scientific to make it come to life other than here we have the doll and her own imagination, perhaps. But
Yeah. I mean, that's why I said I never kind of gave it that much thought back in 2002. But nowadays, I mean, oh, and, we have so many Frankenstein stories seems to be like the norm, like zombie films were for a while, or vampire films were. For some reason, Frankenstein monster themes have been like very, very prevalent in the last decade, dude. You know,
yeah, yeah, it's true. Right.
so. Uh, But that being said, have we missed anything in this conversation that you would like to discuss? Because I can't think of
Yeah.
anything else on my end, so I always want to check with you beforehand.
Yeah, nothing that comes to mind right off the top of my head. So,
Because with this film, in my opinion, has a lot of different elements that when you watch it, you could. I mean, I do think that this movie deserves multiple watches too, especially if you
yeah, yeah,
like the slow burn and the fact that I think the performances are phenomenal from the cast, and the writing especially is very strong in this movie. Especially for being Lucky McKee's first feature film. I think a lot of these elements are not always present in first director films. And I think this is by far one of the more interesting ones out there to give a watch. Plus, who doesn't like Angela Bettis and Anna Faris and fucking Jeremy Sisto? The cast is great, and you wouldn't think that that would be the case. But I do have to point out that Jeremy Sisko has done a shit ton of horror movies and a lot of indie horror movies in addition to mainstream stuff. So there you
yeah.
go.
It was what is that? The hit with, jeez, they're actually releasing it. The 4K umbrella, the one with Eliza Dushku in it and Desmond Harrington. What was that one?
Wrong turn?
Wrong Turn. I don't know why I was blanking on it. Yeah, yeah, he's in Wrong Turn. That's what I recognized him from originally.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
I recognize him from Hideaway, which we have not discussed on
Oh
this
yeah.
program yet, because he's the killer in Hideaway.
Yeah. Right, right. I never did see Hideaway. It's got Jeff Goldblum in it. It's an
Yeah,
interesting
Alicia
cast in that.
Silverstone,
Yeah, yeah.
Christina Lavy. Yeah, I've always liked that. It's not a great movie. It was
Yeah.
just fun. It's a
Yeah,
fun
yeah, I need to see it though. I don't know why I didn't see it, but
Alfred Molina. It's like this
yeah.
movie with a great cast, but no one
Right.
remembers it at all.
That's an awesome cast though.
Yeah,
It's really good. Like all the people you just mentioned are
yeah.
really solid.
All
But
right.
sometimes that happens though. They have like a movie, and there's a bunch of movies like that. It was like Kiss the Girls, and
Yeah.
started with Seven. It was like let's just get it.
The thrillers. These
Yeah, yeah,
thrillers are, and this is one of the reasons why we don't discuss too many thrillers on the show. We could, But the problem is that a lot of thrillers feel like other thrillers, and so they get kind of lumped in together and they become completely forgettable. Even
Yeah.
if there are a lot of them that are extremely successful and profitable, but they are easily forgettable because there will be someone else who will have produced a movie just like it that will have made money a year after that one. Hideaway made enough money. I think that directed by Brett Leonard, who went on to do Lawnmower Man and some other movies that I can't think of off the top of my head. Uh, it's good, but no one remembers it.
Yeah.
So, with that, I do want to thank you, Jay, for joining me on this conversation in horror in which we discussed the movie May from 2002. For everyone listening, what we do is we like to rate the movie between 1 and 5, 1 being poor, 5 being amazing. But what we like to do is we like to attribute our rating to a particular object, quote, or saying within the movie. So, Dave, what is your rating and what quote, object, or saying are you going to attribute your rating to for this film?
So I'm gonna go with Susie the doll. I'm gonna give it 3.5 Susie the dolls.
All right, so I'm gonna be a little bit more generous to it, mostly because I still really enjoy the film, even though I haven't seen it in a decade. I'm going to give it 4 severed pairs of hands, because that's the first body part that May really, really, really clings to in the movie.
Yeah. I think it's the one that stands out the most for sure. So
Yeah. Or I could have said gams, which is just funny. Her calling Ambrosia's legs gams.
yeah.
I was when I rewatched it, I was like, oh my god, that's probably the one thing that kind of dates it a little bit. She calls her legs gams. I'm like, oh my god. So yeah,
What does that even mean though, Gams? I don't know if I've ever heard that before.
it was just a euphemism for having a woman
Legs.
who had really great legs.
Yeah. I took that's what it meant. I just didn't know if it maybe meant something more than that. It was a really odd word, but it doesn't necessarily date it because it dates the character. But she is a really odd character who doesn't seem to have any social skills. For her to say a word that is old like that, it makes sense.
You're right. You're right. All right, with that, I hope you all have enjoyed this film, May from 2002. Please make sure to check out all the other amazing films that we have this month for our LGBTQ plus highlighted Monday screenings. We have some amazing films in store for you for this month, not only for our Monday special themed movies, but also on our regular Wednesdays, because we love to give you twice as much horror every week. From all of us here at Something Wicked Entertainment, we hope that you've enjoyed the program. Please make sure to like, share, follow, do that thing you do with your favorite podcast on your favorite podcast app, Spotify, or YouTube. And please make sure to check out our other podcast, Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors, which is released every first and third Friday of the month. If you are a fan of the classic 60s, 70s, and 80s Hammer Studio films, you're going to love that podcast. Trust me on that. From all of us, please have a great day, and we will see you on the next episode. Conversations in Horror is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures production, written, produced, and directed by Kevin L. Powers, executive producer Kelly A. Inoka. All contents and material from this episode of Conversations in Horror is copyright 2025 Broken Lighthouse Pictures.